What's going on, Internet? IG here again today, and we're having a look at a really unique distribution known as KaOS, anyway, KaOS. So this distribution is a KDE distribution, and to keep this video really simple and short, I guess, I'm really going to cover what makes this distribution unique and why you should run it if you like the idea of KDE. Now, before you get up in arms about the fact that KDE is bloated and overweight, blah, 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 that is what this distribution tries to eliminate. It tries to do one thing and one thing only: provide a really lean and modular KDE distribution that focuses solely on KDE on a 64-bit operating system with a Linux kernel. It basically is a Linux distribution built from scratch using the Linux kernel and basically cherry-picking the best tools from all of a bunch of different open source projects. Bits from Fedora, Gentoo, Arch Linux, OpenSUSE, all of these technologies, they're just kind of cherry-picking to create their own lean, mean KDE distribution. Now, there are plenty of comparisons that people have made, uninformed comparisons, that is, comparing it to Chakra or other KDE distributions like that, but it's not what it aims to be, and there are some great frequently asked questions on their site. What really impresses me about this distribution is because it only aims to do one thing and one thing well, it's definitely not the jack of all trades, but it's definitely a master of one, and that is making a really nice looking KDE distribution that really performs well. And not only that, the amount of stuff that they have in their repositories is actually decent software. So they try to keep it, in terms of the libraries that they have for the apps that they have pre-installed, they're basically all KDE or Qt apps developed with the Qt library. So you've got the Calligra Office suite instead of things like LibreOffice, which are going to take up more resources. And I guess the beautiful thing about that is that when you're just loading up those KDE libraries, all of a sudden you have a very lean and fast KDE distribution. And I think that's what struck me the most out of this distribution. Like, I'm running this inside a VirtualBox with a mere 2 gig of RAM, and yet I'm not sitting around waiting at all for applications to load. Having said that, Clementine actually stuttered a bit there. But in terms of the launch times, like, I haven't launched any of these apps in this particular session since restarting, and some of the launch times are just absurdly fast for a KDE distribution, or any distribution for that matter. So I guess what I like to see in this distribution, obviously there are some bugs because it is a rolling release, but they do try and stabilize it out quite a bit more. They kind of have 3 simple repositories, which are core, main, and apps. And then they also have like a build repository as well. But they essentially control what applications and what libraries and what core Linux components go into those repositories to try and keep it as low maintenance as possible. That way you're not having to install a bunch of new libraries and software every time a new revision comes out. It's relatively well tested to try and provide a bit more stability than most other rolling releases, and because of the fact you don't have a lot of dependencies on the more, I guess, bloated libraries out there, it stays all relatively simple in terms of the KDE library and apps. You get a really streamlined experience. Now, I guess in terms of version numbers, you can have a look inside if we were to go to, let's just say, About KDE, you can see that we're running 4.1, 4.3, which is kind of like the latest in KDE 4.x series. It'll be great to see what happens when this distribution hits the Plasma 5 release, because that is looking awesome all of its own. I've been wanting to do a video about that. That'll be coming soon. But I guess what I really like to see in this distribution is the fact that they've paid attention to detail. They've kept it looking very simple, very elegant, and like I said, the speed in which applications launch, even on a virtual machine that is kind of under spec for what modern hardware would be nowadays. It's very well performing, and I've got to admit, it looks flipping amazing. Some of these wallpapers that they show in here are really good examples of what a modern clean desktop could look like, and I guess they really exploit KDE for all its looks in its simplicity. So they definitely stick to the vanilla look and feel in terms of the actual window controls in KDE itself, but the Plasma theme and the icon theme are really nice here. They're just simple, flat, very modern, I'm a big fan of what this distribution is doing. In terms of package management, it does use the Pacman package manager, which, like I said, it cherry picks from the best of the best. So because of the fact they liked the Arch Linux package manager, that's the one they chose to go with. And when it comes to the GUI side of things, they use the Octopi package manager for the GUI side of things. So relatively basic, but incredibly functional. So I think they really didn't go too wrong there. To be honest, could I imagine myself living here? Well, in all honesty, probably so, because I found myself transitioning more and more towards the KDE-esque applications like Clementine, like SM Player, KDN Live. A lot of the apps that I use on a day-to-day basis, I could find in here. I would probably get a little bit frustrated with the Calligra Office suite, but nowadays with online Office suites, that's not really a problem anyway. Look, by and large, I think what impresses me about this distribution is the distribution's focus. In a world where Linux distributions are a dime a dozen and they're constantly trying to outdo each other in terms of how many apps, desktop environments they can provide, how, I guess, user-friendly as a giant user base that distribution can be, this distribution focuses on one particular user group, and it does it really well. It's built a distribution from scratch with its own tools, bringing in all of its favorite things from other distributions and creating one very streamlined user experience. That is, yes, it's focused on KDE, so if you're not a fan of KDE, then you probably won't appreciate what's going on here. But if you are interested in KDE and just haven't liked other implementations of the desktop environment, then I think KaOS or KaOS has a lot to offer you. It is a rolling release and the core components aren't updated all that frequently, so the stability isn't too bad in my opinion. Of course, you get all the fun that you get of KDE desktop environments, including all the customization and of course all of the desktop widgets that you could ever want or need. So I think very highly of this distribution, and I think as a Linux reviewer that's gone through a lot of Linux distributions, this provides something a little bit different to the table, very focused and very controlled, and I think that's what this distribution does the best. So that'll be all from me in this video. Let me know what you think about this distribution in the comments below, and of course if you like this content and you want to see more, then definitely click that subscribe button and you'll see more of this sort of stuff in your inbox. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the very next video. In the meantime, if you do want to see what I'm doing around the interwebs, you can keep up with me on Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. All that said, I will catch you guys in the very next video. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.